You and Mr. McKenzie are just nailing it, buddy.
Thank
you guys
so
are
much.
so nailing it.
Thank you so much.
you. Thank you. And bring on the goat, okay?
Well, tell me why you're down here today. I like your shirt.
Because I heard you were going to be here.
Oh, come on.
No, really. I'm down here because there's a lot of freedom lovers down here, and we all know that Chris Sky.
He's our guy.
You nailed it.
Aim high with Chris Scott.
Oh, you're good with words. You're good with words.
We gotta get the right bumper sticker. We gotta get the right bumper sticker for Chris to make sure it's catchy. You know.
I thank you, sir, for being here and on the job once again, and I'm looking forward. I have been busy. I haven't had a chance to see Controlled Opposition number 12, which featured Max Bernier.
That's right.
Because I did see it in my sidebar, but I've been busy. I am going to watch it, and we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Max and the rest of the show.
So I'm here to talk about Chris Sky, though. So I want to know, have you always been a fan of Chris Sky? Have you only come around recently to him? Or like, what's been your awareness of him?
Well, there were some really intelligent people doing live streams from Ottawa. I don't have to tell you that, do I?
This guy's just buttering my bread right now, just pumping my tires. But tell me about, seriously, your experience, because I wasn't always a big fan of Chris Sky. I always kind of saw him around, but now I've really come around him and this is our guy to disrupt Toronto, right? But what has your experience been like seeing Chris Sky and seeing him step up to run?
It's extremely difficult to put 100% trust in anyone. Okay, I do know that I've followed him probably since the original Freedom Convoy, and I have not seen him say anything about the cabal or about the BS that we've been fed for the last, 7 years? 107? And building. I have not seen him once be wrong about what he was saying and accusing people of. And that, to me, carries a lot of weight. Look at the people that are around here. I'm not the brightest guy by far, okay? And I think for most of these people, they've been around long enough to know the difference between good and bad.
Yeah, and something that Chris has been saying is all these other candidates are just cookie cutter candidates, and I think that's going to really resonate with average people because who are all of these people running against him? I don't even really know many of them. There's Mark Saunders, I guess, who's the police chief. But he's such a radical, exciting character compared to the rest of these boring sort of candidates.
These gentlemen carrying the signs and the other supporters of Chris, we were over there, and the wind changed direction, and it wasn't suitable over there, and I wasn't certain why that was the case. And all of a sudden, out from the woodwork came Anthony Fury.
Okay, yeah.
What's the name of the show that you're doing? Oh yeah, Controlled Opposition. Okay. Yeah. Now, just looking back at Anthony's history, briefly even, if anyone should scratch their head and wonder why Anthony decided to run for Toronto mayor, to me, personally, it's quite obvious. He's here to take votes away from a real, honest-to-goodness person who's here for the people.
Wow.
That's my own speculation.
Okay.
That's my own speculation.
Damn. Okay, so you're saying Anthony Fury was just being here to take away votes from Chris Sky, more or less. Interesting theory. Did Anthony have a crew with him?
He was looking for an audience and seemed rather disappointed that we vacated the spot where he was. So I kept my eye on him, and he went over to speak with some of the people from 640 News who were real happy to see him. It was very interesting.
And before I go, because I want to speak to some other people here, the media's silence the radio silence around Chris Sky's campaign when he has the largest Twitter following of any other candidate. What the hell's going on here?
The silence is deafening. Is not the silence deafening?
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to pick up on that.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for your time, bro.
I thank you. You're doing it.
Thanks, bro. Wow, what an endorsement for controlled oppositions Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from that guy. But we are down here. We're down here, Nathan Phillips Square. We're live. This is the Chris Sky crowd right now. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of different candidates are announcing today. And Chris Sky is the only candidate with the team down here, with the crew down here. And you love to see it. They're handing out free T-shirts. A lot of cool people, diverse crowd. They're freedom lovers, really. Oh, we got a speech going on here.
I'm a mom who had to stay in an Australian quarantine facility in order to see my beautiful children. It was a nightmare. I knew this was a lie from the day one. It was never about health, it was about control. And I want to thank Chris Sky because, in my opinion, Chris Sky is the one who empowered Canadians to take the fines at the airport and go home, and that's why we don't have hotel quarantine facilities in Canada. I remember when I was away and, I needed advice on how to come back home. We were in Mexico, okay? Chris Sky was giving out his number to everyone. I called him with my friend Evelyn, and he walked us through the entire process. However, at that time, I don't know if you all remember, they shut down all airports and only had 4 major airports running. So in order for us to come back home, we needed a PCR test that was done within 72 hours that showed a negative result. It was impossible to find a flight that got us home in 72 hours. So once we landed in Charlotte, they essentially said, no, I'm sorry, you can't board the plane. To come home, as a Canadian citizen, we were stuck in America. We had to rent a car and drive over the border like it was something out of a movie. We had to find certain taxis that were driving Canadians over the border to go home, just to go home, okay? So we owe this man a lot. We all know, guys, what the media does. The media over there is the biggest culprit of crimes against humanity. They are the biggest perpetrators of fear and division, and they are the virus. We need to see with our own eyes, just like we didn't see a pandemic. It was the news that was telling us. We didn't see ambulances driving around. We didn't see people dropping. How many people here do you know died of COVID? Raise your hand. And how many people here know someone who is injured from the bioweapon? Yep. Amen. Amen. And that's why we're here. We're here for the children. We're here to fight this tyranny, this corruption that has been infiltrated in everything, from the schools to the judicial systems to politicians, everywhere. And Chris Sky is here to fight from the inside. Yeah. Woo! Yeah. And we will support him every step of the way. God bless you all, and stay in this fight. Remember who we're fighting for, guys. It's for the children.
Let's go! Mona, can you please tell everybody your platform so they can follow you?
Sure. Yeah, so guys, I do independent journalism and an activist and all that good stuff. You can find me on Instagram, independent_journalism_, on Rumble, independent journalism, on Telegram, independent journalism channel, on Twitter, @indie journalism. And I'm going to be interviewing a brave hero, Dr. Peter McCullough, on Wednesday, who's been speaking out. I've interviewed some of the top doctors, but my heart is with the injured and telling their stories. I just interviewed Dan Hartman, whose son took Pfizer and 33 days after was found dead on his floor. I also interviewed a mom who gave birth to her 38-week stillborn daughter, baby Brooklyn. I've interviewed thousands of the injured. thousands. People are dying all around us. They're suffering all around us. And we need to get their stories out. And we need to tell the truth, even when our voice shakes.
Yep.
We're going to get it done, guys. Right now, we've got people across this country that are making real moves. We've got in Saskatchewan,
Amazing speech.
If you follow the
Hopefully you guys heard that.
sovereignty
Hi, do you wanna?
And the Buffalo Party in Saskatchewan. He's moving for constitutional reform with the
Do you wanna chat really quick? I'm live right now.
Sure, yeah. Canada, and he's making real headway. So please do follow Mark Friesen on all your platforms.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Incredible speech.
Thank you.
And yeah, when did you first meet Chris Guy? When was your first encounter with him?
The first time I actually, over the speech I said I spoke to him on the phone.
Yeah.
That was in February 2021 when he was trying to help me get back into my country, Canada, as a citizen. And the first time we met in person was, I believe, in Ottawa. But yeah, we've been communicating for quite some time before we had actually met in person. So yeah.
And tell me, you mentioned you're an independent journalist now. I'm an independent journalist now. That wasn't part of the plan.
My pronoun.
Yeah.
People will be like, "You're not a journalist." I'm like, "Hey, that's what I'm gonna call myself. If other people can call themselves whatever they want, I'm calling myself a journalist."
That's right.
Yeah.
Those are my pronouns. Independent journalist. Okay, I'm just like you, Global. I'm just like you. I identify. But for me, it was plugging this microphone into my phone at the trucker convoy. How about you? When did you first start to post on social media and realize, oh, I guess I'm doing the news now in a way?
Yeah, so I started out going around to all the field hospitals across southern Ontario, and I was filming inside of hospitals as well. I was catching nurses on their break, and I really was able to expose that the hospitals were not overwhelmed. And there were these makeshift field hospitals built all across southern Ontario for the overflow of COVID patients. Not one of these guys was ever utilized, not a single solitary one. And you can imagine how much money of our tax dollars went into these movie sets, is what I call them.
Movie sets.
Yes. And the one in Hamilton I filmed, I remember, was one of the largest ones, and they were bringing in beds, lamps, soiled linen containers. So, and that went up and down in 3 months. That would have cost millions. It would have cost millions. It was very large, and so.
And you're right. Effectively, it just served as a set for these short films. I remember making a tweet about that the one time. It's almost like the government and these news organizations are just making shitty short films, and that's all they're even doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all, the world is a stage, right? This is all to push their agenda, to push the fear, to push the hate, to push the division. And, some of us see through it and others are not. But I do feel that more and more people are waking up. The writing's on the wall. This was the survival rate of this virus, for them to have done what they've done. It's just absolutely unbelievable, and I think more people who are vaccinated are realizing that most of them got COVID, so they realize that this was ineffective. So they start to wake up in that aspect, and then now we, a lot of, like I said in the speech, how many people know people who died of COVID, and how many people know someone who's been injured, and you can see everybody raise their hand when,
Or even on top of that, just the despair from lockdowns and the economic sanctions that happened that just ruined people's lives and livelihoods, and the mandates on top of that, that took a huge toll. But I want to ask now, when did you first hear about Chris Guy running for mayor? What did you think? How did you feel? And then also, why do you think he's the man for the job?
So I kind of got wind of it before he was going to announce, after the whole John Tory incident, because I know Kelly well and Chris now and all that. So I got wind of it, and I was so excited for it. I thought, yes. I mean, the media's going to have a field day with him. People are going to have a field day with him. But, when the media reports something, it's like, okay, flip it on its head It's the opposite, right? And that's what we're realizing throughout this whole, over the last 3 years. Anything that they pretty much tell us, just flip it upside down, and that's the truth, right? Definitely. So I've seen what they've done to Chris. I've seen what Chris has had to go through in terms of, all of his arrests and, them, all the court cases and all that, which is all dropped. But, I see what he's done, and I just respect him a lot. I know that he's controversial. I know that people have said things, but that comes from the media, right? So we've got to be very, very careful, right? And I will say this, guys, with everything he's been through, I have a hard time myself sometimes keeping my composure because of these horrific crimes against humanity. And Chris has had his moments, and I don't maybe agree with some of the things that he's said or done, but I can empathize, I guess, with it and understand that we're gonna have those moments that we are not our best selves, right? So and it is frustrating. I am like, where is everybody? This is the fight of our lives, and people are just sitting, they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And Chris, obviously, we know is very he's been very out of his comfort zone, but he continues to do what he does despite everything that's happened to him. And so I support him, I really do. And people will knock me and whatever, but this is it is what it is. It's what I believe in. Yeah,
and that's part of it is kind of sticking our neck out to stand up for what we believe in, because we really are against some evil forces out there. Yeah. And I think that any criticism that's lofted towards Chris Sky could just as easily go towards all these other candidates. The difference is Chris is very open about who he is, flaws and all, whereas these other cookie cutter candidates, where's any of the honesty about who they are, what they're actually going to do? That's right. It's. I don't see anybody else in this race who can truly put up a fight. But what do you think about? Because the media has covered Chris in the past and said a whole bunch of terrible things about him. Now that he's running and he has this massive following, they're not talking about him at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, because they don't want to give him any exposure. The only exposure that they'd like to give him is negative exposure. If they put it out that he's running for mayor, they're going to capture a large demographic of people, right? Yeah. So it's all by design. They know what they're doing. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add for the people watching at home? You can plug your social medias again if you'd like to.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to follow me, I do independent journalism. I've interviewed some of the top doctors. I'm interviewing Dr. Peter McCullough on Wednesday.
She's amazing. Follow her.
Thank you. So independent_journalism_. You have to type the whole thing in. Because of me being shadow banned, but you can find me on Twitter at INDE, so INDE journalism, or Telegram as well. I have a channel there, Independent Journalism Channel. I do want to just quickly add here that we are doing a march on Mother's Day, May 15th, here in Nathan Phillips Square. For those of you that are not aware, in May 23rd of 2021, this was a vaccine clinic for children, and they were giving them ice cream, and we know what the vaccine is doing to kids. So that
was very creepy, that whole thing.
It was.
John Tory's like, oh, make sure you bring your kids down to get vaccinated.
Yeah. So on Mother's Day, we are doing a women's, mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, daughters, and children march. It'll be a silent march, so we'll be here at 8:30. And we are going to march over to the police station and just, silently tell them how we feel. So we'll have lanterns and pictures of the kids that have passed or are injured, and our own kids will be there. So hopefully they see the pain in our eyes, and that can maybe jolt them to do something. Yeah. And this is going to be across Canada, so New Brunswick, nice. And Alberta, Nova Scotia. And we're also going to go global. So it'll be in France, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. We're working on other countries, but yeah, so it is. It's Mother's Day March to defend the children, and our duty as mothers right now has always been to protect our most vulnerable, our children. And this is the fight of our lives. It's the fight for our children. So.
And it's going to be a silent march. Is that going to be in the evening at 8:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the evening, May 14th, 8:30 p.m. here in Nathan Phillips Square for Toronto. But like I said, there will be other locations, and the flyers will be sent out, and our promo video will be done as well. We had a promo video for the other one we did in December, which was a huge success. We were on 6 Buzz, so we got some really good coverage of our first Defend the Children March, and yeah, so look for it, and I'm sure you'll see it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Absolutely. We'll see you around.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Another fellow independent journalist.
So I'll find that on your thing?
Yeah, we're live right now, so it's on my YouTube.
Oh, cool.
I usually re-upload them to Facebook as well.
Okay, cool.
I might have to snip out some of the vaccine comments.
I know.
We'll see, though.
I know. Yeah.
Hopefully Susan didn't see that. Here's the man himself.
Back together for Chinese New Year. And out of everybody there, he was the only one who stood strong, didn't take that jab, didn't take the mask.
Nice job, buddy.
And he was ridiculed by his entire family for 3 years straight. And then you know what? They sat him down at Chinese
Yeah, I'm from
New Year,
Toronto. I have a
and they all
Toronto
looked at
address.
him and they said,
Ladies first.
you were right. And not only does that validate him, it goes to show that there's a lot of people that bought into the COVID scam and a lot of people that were blind to government overreach and government corruption before, but they aren't anymore. They do not trust the government, they do not trust the media, and they do not trust the medical establishments, all for very good reason. But you know who they do trust? They trust us, because we've been there through thick and thin, no matter what, doing the right thing every step of the way. And we're going to continue to do that when we take the reins of this city as mayor.
Yeah.
We have the most fiscally responsible administration that we have ever seen. The size and scope of government will shrink, and the size and scope of your freedom and financial will increase.
Yeah.
There's going to be something for everyone in our government. And when we reshape Toronto in the way it needs to be, we are going to set the example for the rest of Canada and the United States and further to follow us. Because who's going to follow these people? They've been going in the wrong direction for decades, and we see the results. Less freedom, less financial resources, and just more crime. It's the same in virtually every part of Canada. And we're going to stop it here, we're going to change it here, and we're going to start a revolution, first of thought and then of action across the entire world. Toronto is not just a big city in Canada. Toronto is a symbol for all of North America. And we're going to take that symbol and we're going to polish it up real nice. And everybody's going to want to be in Toronto. You know how many people have been calling me every day and saying, if you win, I'm coming back. We're going to get all the good people that Toronto lost, and we're going to continue to bring in more good people to Toronto.
When you win, not if. Win!
Thank you. I don't want to sound too overconfident, but you're right. We should already start talking as if I'm the mayor, so we can manifest it into reality. And that's ladies and gentlemen. I thank you all for coming today. Like I said, I don't want to talk too long. I don't want to give too much away. But we are going to have a very, very well-structured campaign. Our website's going to be updated very soon to have a calendar, and you're going to be able to see where we're going to be daily. And when my team gets here by the end of the week, we're going to hit the ground running hard. And we're going to be having events at places all over the 6 boroughs. We're going to be trying to host town hall meetings where we're not going to give you lip service, but we're going to come there and talk to your community leaders and your community people and find out how we can help you individually. Because it's going to be a different answer for everybody we talk to. And that's what we want to see. We want to see how we can help each individual community in the way they need it most. So we can have a plan ready for when we win this thing. And believe me, we're going to win this thing.
Yo!
Thank you, everybody. God bless you. I actually brought a Sharpie today so we could write stuff on the shirts. If anyone did everybody get one? We didn't run out, did we? Did we run out? Thomas, do we have more?
We got lost.
Okay, perfect. I thought I brought more than enough. Okay, so anyone that didn't get one, please get one. If you want to grab one for somebody else, you can get it too. just take whatever you want. We want everybody to know what's going on. We want everybody to know that we are a real candidate. This is a legitimate campaign, and we are going to be the ones to beat. We are going to be the ones to watch, and ultimately, we are going to be the ones to win. Thank you.
Let's freaking go. Give it up for Chris Sky, everybody. Amazing. There he is. The one and only Chris Sky, handing out free t-shirts. I gotta get my t-shirt, guys. I don't have my t-shirt. He's powerful. He's energetic. He's already got a great crowd. Do you want to chat real quick? Amazing.
You want me to talk about donations, so we'll talk about that in a minute.
We'll chat with Chris in a second. He's got some signatures to sign. But I'm aside with one of his team members, a member of the campaign. Is that right?
Hi there. I'm King Nico. So you guys might know me from Crusaders of the Resistance. And I've been supporting Chris ever since I've known him since high school 20 years ago, right? So I'm not going to stop now.
Yeah, and you got your toy down there. Let's actually, I'm just going to come around here so we got a nice background here. So when did you first meet Chris Sky?
It was high school, 2001.
Okay.
So we've been on Facebook friends since Facebook began and social media. And the thing is that people don't know about Chris is like way before the pandemic, from when Harper was Prime Minister. Chris would be every day posting stuff about government and what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, what they're doing to mess up our country. So this has been long going, and I've seen him, respected him for many years, especially when he's on vacation with his wife and he's still posting about Stephen Harper in Canada, right? So that's who Chris Sky is.
So I wasn't a big Harper fan then, I take it.
Well, it was better than what we have now, that's for sure. But we saw where it was going, right? So, yeah.
Amazing. So let's just go right into it, because, you know, for people who are within the freedom fighter movement, you know, the narrative about Chris that even I heard and that I started to believe, like, oh, he's just like this egomaniac, he's just trying to grift. But you've known him since high school.
Yeah.
So where do you think those rumors come from? And like, for someone who's known him for a long time, like, what do you have to say to that?
So I see where people are coming from. Like Chris, he's very out there, he's loud, you know, and that's why he's who he is now, why he's able to be in this position to run for mayor. And if I hadn't known him, you know, who's to say I might not think the same thing, but we can't say that. But definitely he's got his heart in the right place. He isn't, you know, a trust fund kid, as some people might say, and stuff like that. So, and even if he is, if he's got all that money, why is he out there doing so much and getting arrested close to 30 times to fight for everyone's freedom, right? So you got to give it to someone that doesn't have to do it, because he already has everything.
Yeah. And how funny is it that the media used to smear him and make him look bad, but now that he's actually running, they're like, and they're not saying a word about his campaign. Like, he doesn't even exist.
Yeah. Now they're trying to hide it. They have to retract a lot of stories. They tried to smear him for the last 3 years, calling him a drug dealer and extortionist, and now he's finally got acquitted of all his charges. It's been heard that he has no criminal record. So the mainstream media, we can see that they're scrambling. They were here early today just to show coverage of the other candidates that the media are mentioning, and as soon as Chris Sky gets there, they're nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's very funny to watch. But you're part of his media team, I take it, and we have to help you go viral online. Is there anything that people watching can do to help the campaign?
There's always something to do. Because I've been doing this for such a long time and sharing anything that Chris has ever said, all my platforms have been shadow banned and censored. So, but you know, haven't stopped me. I still got a decent following on YouTube.
I do have an idea, actually, that getting people to spam Chris Sky clips on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, if we could get a Telegram channel to distribute the vertical videos, and it's just like, go post them, you know.
They already banned hashtag Chris Sky on TikTok.
Right. So don't post the Chris Sky hashtag. If we could distribute the vertical videos,
all the vertical videos,
then,
you can find a lot of good footage on my YouTube at King Nico. You'll find out, so you can copy and screen record any of the clips there. There'll be a bunch more coming today. So use it and share the clips far and wide.
Yeah, and that being said, the speech he did at Trinity Church.
Yes.
Really, really good. I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you record that one?
Did you see it in the high quality?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He posted on his Telegram last night.
Okay, yeah, so that was the one, yeah. So I recorded that. It was a 22-minute speech. Chris, he shed some tears for some of the children that are looking up to him to become mayor and to get him to stop the sexualization of children, like I myself.
Yeah, he called out Soji. He called out he said they're preying upon our children. That got me really pumped up that he's talking about that.
So how can I not stand with Chris Guy? I've been out there fighting this Soji and sexual gender orientation for a while. I got arrested in Ottawa for protesting at a drag show. So Chris Guy is the man for this job. No other politician would dare go there or mention LGBT or drag, right?
Yeah. Which is so true, especially in this city. Like, I don't see any other candidates. I don't see any of them. Like, have you looked into that, or are there any other candidates?
I saw it this morning just before I came here. We're all here in the city are familiar with Olivia Chow, the late wife of late Jack Layton, right? So there's a bunch. There's former police chiefs. No one close to what Chris Guy's done. Yeah, a lot of these people have been a part of the city for 20 years, but we already know that if we vote any of those regulars, we're going to get the same thing. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So we want change. Chris Guy for change at mel.com.
Chris Guy for change. Chris Guy's our guy. Aim high with Chris Guy. I'm just trying to think of like good catchphrases.
Dome, you know what I mean?
yeah.
See,
is that part of it?
No, but I've heard it. I made a one meme called Chris Skywalker. You know what I mean? So for all the Star Wars fanatics, we got a Jedi and Chris Skywalker, right?
I think it's a great talking point that he's gonna rename the Sky Dome to be the Sky Dome. I think that's
who's not gonna like that, right?
Like the media will try to run with that and say it's egotistical, but a lot of Torontonians will be like, it should be the Sky Dome.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
People still refer to it as the Sky Dome, right? So.
But thanks for your time, man.
Oh, appreciate it.
It's
Greg, right?
Yeah. Hold on.
You got so much stuff there. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's I'm gonna have to take down all your social.
You can go to gregthe.com and that forwards to my YouTube channel, or you can just Greg Wycliffe is my name.
Greg Wycliffe. I'm sure I'm following you there because I know that.
So. How's it going, bro?
I just wanted to come over and fanboy.
Awesome. I'm live right now. Did you want to chat? Live?
Yeah, sure.
Amazing.
Some questions for me so I don't look like an idiot.
Sure.
Can I get a hug?
Chris is still signing shirts, taking some photos over there in front of the sign.
Adding up everyone.
I can be back in a sec if you want. I don't mind. Yeah. Taking some photos with the fans. And keep in mind, this isn't the biggest crowd, but this is a Monday. Not a bad crowd for a Monday, and I'm sure every other candidate does not have a crowd to speak of at all. Because a lot of people may doubt Chris Guy, but the thing is, the voter turnout in Toronto is completely abysmal. Okay, so he has a really good chance. If Chris Guy could get some people to get off the couch to vote, he has a very, 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 very good chance of winning. So it's quite exciting. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
I am live on YouTube. Would you want to chat about what? Awesome. And I am here with
Anastasia.
And what brings you down here today?
I am here to support Chris Guy doing the official paperwork to be a nominee to be Ontario Mayor. Or Toronto Mayor.
Yeah.
Toronto Mayor.
Yeah. It's exciting, right?
It's extremely exciting.
When did you first meet this guy?
I
when
haven't
did you first
actually
hear
met
about
him
it?
yet. This would have been back at the trucker convoy.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So he was, speaking out, and I resonated with what he was saying, and his actions match his words, which is what's very hard to find nowadays.
Yeah, he seems like a real person, especially compared to the other candidates, because people call him, he's kind of egotistical and stuff, but he's very much himself. I don't think he really hides himself at all. What do you think?
There is no bushel big enough to hide him.
That's right. So a lot of people, have you noticed the media silence? That the media is not, he has the largest Twitter following out of anyone else running. Why do you think that is? Why is the media not covering this guy at all?
Because they don't want him to win. Because he would challenge what they're saying in the narrative. And I mean, there were media people over there, but they didn't want to talk to us.
Right.
They just stayed in their little vans and sent Mr. Scooter guy over to just, rile us up.
And, a lot of people, I think, got engaged in politics for the first time during lockdowns and everything. When did you first get engaged in politics? And what would you say your politics are, if you have a label for it, and how does it connect to Chris Sky's? Because I asked him if he's a liberal or conservative in an interview, and he didn't answer. He's like, no, I'm for the people. Right?
So when I started seeing what was happening with the lockdowns and the COVID mandate, that's when I realized I don't recognize this government. I don't believe in what they're saying. I don't believe that they have our interests at heart. When you have to coerce someone or bribe them to do something, that's probably, I mean, if they were forcing you to take cancer medication, I would be, a little bit questionable of that too. And as far as my politics,
You have to take the Tylenol. It's like, do I have to take the Tylenol?
I would rather just have the headache. It's okay. I can handle a headache. It's all good. And as far as my politics, I'm a humanist. I believe in human beings helping human beings. So I have voted for Green Party. I have voted for Liberals. I voted for Trudeau, for crying out loud. I've learned my error of my ways. I voted for Conservatives. I voted for, honestly, everything except for the Bloc. So I'm truly nonpartisan. I follow the person and the platform. So, yeah.
So, have you noticed? I've been in politics for a little while now, like 4 or 5 years, and I've noticed there's a lot of apathy in Canada. There's a lot of weird, almost like tribalism, like, well, I'm a liberal, my family's always been liberal, or we're conservatives, family's always been conservatives. Have you encountered this? Do you think that exists in Toronto? And do you think there's a lot of apathetic people here in Toronto?
I do. And I think that most people don't understand politics because they don't really teach civics in school. They also don't teach us our own personal finances. They don't teach us about the Canadian banking system and about how we have a way out. We don't have to go to these big banks. We can borrow the money from ourselves. So anyways, they're not teaching us anything. My parents do not talk about politics. They do not tell each other who they voted for. So even in their marriage, they keep their politics separate. Yeah.
So let's just kind of brainstorm here. There's a lot of Torontonians out there. They probably don't even know what's going on with anything. How do you think we can engage these people, get them excited about Chris Sky? Because it might be a simple... Go ahead.
This is a good start.
Yeah.
Being visible. We absolutely have to be visible. So I will be getting more of these. And honestly, I just talk to people at the grocery store. I talk to people at bus stops. I am a little person. I have funky hair. I am not threatening. And I just want to hear what people say. I want to know, do you want your tax dollars going towards tanks and missiles in Ukraine? Or do you want your tax dollars getting clean drinking water for our Indigenous? Like, where do you want your money to go? Or do you just not care? And then that usually polarizes people and it makes them think. It just drops a little seed and then hopefully they'll look up something and get started. So be visible. That's the best way. And it's got to be person to person. I'm sorry, but Twitter is a good start.
It's an echo chamber.
It is. Because if you already follow someone, you're not going to reach anyone new. So I just talk to people in real life.
I'm just thinking now of a regular kind of rebuttal I get from people, which is I'll talk to them about the issues. Don't you care? Don't you care? Well, they're all corrupt anyway. It's all hopeless. And have you ever gotten this from people? What do we say to that?
For Chris Sky.
That's it.
He may not be perfect. No one is perfect, but he's trying to do the right thing for individual humans.
That's right.
He's trying to get our economy quick started. He's trying, and that's more than most people can say. And people who want the power shouldn't have it. He's doing this because he has to.
That's true.
No one else is stepping up.
That's true. In an interview, I've seen him say, I do not want to do this, actually, but I guess I have to, so.
No one else is going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time. Do you want to plug any social media or anything?
I don't do that stuff. I like people in real life.
She likes real life. She's an IRL person. Very cool. Thanks again for your time. Someone draped a Chris Sky shirt on my arm here. Excuse me. Where are they going? Maybe they're filming some stuff. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up with them. Hey gentlemen, I'm live on the YouTube. Did you guys want to chat? No? All right.
Maybe later.
Okay, cool. Thanks, bro. Amazing. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
We're live on YouTube. Is that okay?
That's okay, Greg.
Amazing. So why are you supporting Chris Sky?
Freedom. It's the main reason. He believes in freedom. I believe in freedom. And I don't believe that very many other mayoral candidates really believe in freedom like he does. There are some who I think they do, but I think that he goes to the point where it's like there's no party politics involved. Yep. That helps. What else? Another thing is that I think he can win.
Yeah. He will win. He will win.
In the last mayoral election, I supported for Sarah Kleiman-Haga.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just going to catch up with Chris. I think he's going into the building right now.
To sign his papers.
He signed his papers, that's right. There he is. Here he is.
I'm just gonna call them to verify that everything's good to go. If someone said there was a rumor that they're trying to close it early. I'm gonna check, which would be really funny if they did try that. Because my appointment, I believe, is exactly at 2:10.
Yeah, exactly. Right after, right? That's why. I think someone said something.
They did the same with Donald Trump when he was president. They tried to silence him and keep him from the media, right? So the exact same thing they're doing with Chris Guy, they already did it with Donald Trump. And guess what happened? Donald Trump got elected.
This is true.
So we're going to stay on it. Chris is very vigilant. No one's more on it than he is. So.
Chris, did you say you have an appointment at 2:10 and they're not letting you in right now?
No, not that they're not letting me in. Somebody in the crowd said that they heard that they were trying to close the registrations early today at 2 o'clock rather than the 4:30 they're supposed to, which would obviously cancel my appointment, which is at 2:10 officially. So I just tried to verify with them that that's not the case, and they couldn't verify with me. They said I would have to call Elections to Toronto, which is what I'm trying to do right now.
Wow. It's just challenge after challenge, right? You're always, like during the pandemic, you were bullying your way onto airplanes and past all this bureaucracy.
Well, even when I booked the appointment, it got canceled 3 times to the point where they had to go and put a fake phone number on the appointment and make sure that people wouldn't be able to cancel it.
It's amazing.
Let's see if they answer.
You're going to have a red phone.
Amazing. He's just on the phone, so I won't bother him. Yeah. But I mean, this guy's even fighting just to get the nomination papers in. You know. So he ran into an issue. We're trying to verify if he booked his appointment, and there's a murmurings or a rumor that they're trying to like cancel his appointment by closing it early. None of this is confirmed. We're just kind of like figure out what's going on here. All we got to do is file the papers. You know, he's got an appointment, so not sure why there would be an issue, but I believe he's 2:10. That's right. Yeah. Got a cool sign over there. Amazing. We got his campaign team over here. Are you sure you didn't want to chat on live, sir? You're a handsome guy. Come on.
I support Chris Guy for sure.
I'm going to go in at 1 just to find out what's going on. Just to be sure. Because I'm sure they don't have anybody else with an appointment at that time, so I'm sure they'll take me. Because when I talked to a woman, what was her name? I can't remember her name right now. It's not coming to me, but she was really nice. She was friendly. She was the one helping me book it, and when they kept canceling it, she's the one that rebooked it for me and then changed the number to make sure they couldn't do it again.
Okay, good.
She basically told me I can come at any time and they'll honor my appointment.
Awesome.
So I'm not going to make anyone wait till 2 if we're here now and everyone's here. So we'll wait till just before 1. We'll give it another 10-15 minutes, and then my wife and I will head in. I think we got more than enough nominations. I came here with like 23. We needed 25, so I'm sure we got the other 2. But I want to make sure we got like 20 extra ones, because they're going to be going through with a fine-tooth comb and be like, oh, there's a mistake here. We're going to disqualify this one, and we're going to disqualify this one. So yeah, we're gonna make sure we cover all our bases here.
Maybe for anybody who signed the documents, give you a picture of their ID.
I don't want to go that far, because I feel that's a little invasive for the people, but. I don't think they're gonna try that. And even if they did try that, we have till May 10th to become an official candidate. So if they really did do that, it wouldn't be too hard for me to say, hey, I need everyone to meet me at this Tim Hortons, who's a resident of Toronto, and get 100 nominations in about 3 seconds.
Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah, definitely. Let's go up and.
They're right.
Pardon?
Yeah,
I think we should go talk to them.
I already went over.
I'm gonna try to get an interview with this guy before. Hey, Chris. I'm just live right now. Did you want to chat to the people at home real quick? I saw your speech the other day at the Trinity Church.
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday, yeah. You posted on your Telegram. Very great speech. And you mentioned cookie cutter candidates. Do you see any of these other candidates as competition?
To be honest, absolutely not. They're all there for a specific purpose. I'm trying to say that in the nicest way possible. We're going to be diplomatic here. But most of them, I'd say all of them, will not stop a 15-minute city. All of them will not address the waste and the corruption. None of them are going to do what I'm going to do. They're all there to take a figurehead approach, just like Justin Trudeau. He's there in face and name only, and then they take their orders from somebody else. Everybody that knows me knows that I don't take orders from anybody, except the people, because I'm serving the people. But I'm not going to be one of those politicians, I even hate that word, that gets elected and then has to start towing the party line because there is no party, or owing anybody favors because I don't owe anybody favors. So I'm going to do exactly what I say I'm going to do, just like I've done every other time I said it, including beat my charges. And that was something I didn't even have total control of, but I did because I knew I was innocent. So, barring massive corruption, I knew what the outcome was going to be in that situation. So I was supremely confident. But it does feel good to drive again. So for anybody watching, just watch these candidates, listen to what they say, and then ask them the simple question: if you truly serve the candidate, can I have your cell phone number so I could call you at any time? See how many of them just freeze up, clam up, and you could call my assistant. Where are you, assistant? No, they're not going to give you their number because they don't really care about you. They're not going to come to a town hall meeting in your community and ask questions about how they can help you specifically. They're going to come there with a speech written for them by somebody else based on the demographic of the area with buzzwords in it that they think are going to be the most effective at garnering your emotional support, when in reality they don't intend to do anything for you. Ask them that when they do that. See what they say. Ask them why they always have to read from a script. Ask them why their phone number isn't public. Ask them why they always have to refer to you to somebody else. It's because they're not there for you. They're there for someone else, and they're just there to appear to serve you. I'm the complete opposite. I'm there to serve you, and I'm not there for them. I'm there for the people. So there's no other person in power like that right now that I can think. I said maybe Ron DeSantis in Florida. He is doing the exact opposite of what all the other people did. They called him every name in the book, just like they called me. And what happened? Where would you most like to live during the pandemic in the United States? Probably Florida. Which economy did the best? Florida. Which had the best mental health outcome? Florida. Which had the best COVID outcome? Florida. And which had no mandates, restrictions, or any other things that we were burdened with here in Toronto? Florida. Now let's talk about these politicians again, cookie cutters. Most of these people running were already members of the political class. They're already councillors. They're already in the government. What have they done for you in the last 3 years? Ask any one of these candidates, any of them. What have they done for you in the last 3 years? Ask me what I've done in the last 3 years. I can be talking for the next 4.5 hours if you like. It's like, let's be honest. And then ask them this. Ask them, if you were a part of the government then and you were on my side, why every time did you vote to keep the restrictions going? That doesn't sound like they were serving the people. It sounds like they were serving themselves this entire time. Ask them why every time there was a vote to increase their salaries, they all voted for that, but they didn't vote to keep your business open. They didn't vote to allow you to fly to go see your grandmother in another country. No, they voted for mandates, restrictions, and to try to control every aspect of your life while they were not bound by any of that. You see, that's called a hypocrite. Telling you what you need to stay home. You can't go to the gym. Well, they're driving around, being driven around, going to private gyms, having private events with 6-star meals. You're supposed to be getting drive-through McDonald's and staying home every night. At least when I'm the mayor, I'm going to tell everybody, don't do any of that garbage. And I'm not going to do it myself. But at least you're going to follow my example, and I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm going to do myself. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to lead by example, and I'm going to show these people in power that they don't really have the power. The people have the power. We've had the power all along. I'm just here to remind you, and I'm just here to be your tool to wield that power. That's all I am. Think of me like a weapon, or think of me like a commando. You're going to send me in, because I don't like the idea of a grenade or a missile, because that just sounds, first of all, extremely violent, and it also sounds like I'm going to make a big mess of things. Yes, I'm going to make a mess for them, but that doesn't mean I'm going to make a mess of things. I'm going to go in there more like a commando, surgical strikes, very specific targets, primary and secondary objectives. And when they're carried out, they're going to be carried out smoothly and efficiently. And the results are going to be tangible for every man, woman, and child in this city. That's the reality.
Thank you.
I think you're one of the only candidates too, where not only are you going to help better manage the city, but we get the added bonus of you as mayor to you're going to investigate the corruption that's been going on.
100,000,000%, and it couldn't come at a better time, because I can guarantee you that the last 3 years there's been more corruption, mismanagement, and misappropriation of funds, and I'm saying this in the nicest way possible, than we have seen in the history of Canada. Number one. Number two, anyone can challenge me on this. Call your government representative today and ask them for a breakdown by department of the $16.1 billion budget. Should be pretty easy. Any business should be able to tell you how much each one of their departments gets when they have a finite amount of money. They will not tell you. They will not even tell you within the hundreds of millions. You know what that tells me? That tells me that when we go through that budget with a forensic accounting team, we're going to find billions of dollars in savings.
Chris, I have a quick question.
Sure.
How much money, you might not know the exact answer to this, but how much money, millions of dollars, do you think went into the field hospitals that were never utilized of our taxpayers' money?
I would say officially they'll say something like 30, 40, 50 million. Unofficially, it was probably well over 100 million. And if we all know, those field hospitals were not used for one patient, not once. That's literally you're thinking $100 million that they literally just flushed down the toilet. How much money did they waste on the vaccines? How many hundreds of millions did they waste on that? Exactly. And this is just for starters. That's just the stuff we know about. When I go through these budgets and I go through each department, you're going to find that every single year, magically, each department asked for the maximum allowable budget. And every year they did that. So every year the government was growing in size and scope to the legal limit allowed. Meanwhile, they had no regard for our economy, our GDP, or our tax base. Whether it went up, down, or destroyed like it did in COVID, everything in their mind just kept going up, as we saw with their salaries, as we saw with their power. And now they're drunk on that power. They want to bring in a 15-minute city, a personal carbon allowance, a digital ID, and a digital currency. This is not a conspiracy theory. Everybody knows this is reality. They've already divided Edmonton into 15 districts. They've already putting up signs in Ottawa. This is a 15-minute city construction zone. They already started the first one here in Toronto right off the 404.
Some ramps we saw.
Thank you. It's already happening. And they won't tell you. They keep telling you it's about convenience. It's about what's good for the environment. But they don't tell you what's good for the environment. The number one thing on their list is to remove your private car ownership. And it's not just so you don't get around the city. It's so you don't get around, period. And we have literally generations, all the way back to the 20s, when cars were widespread for humanity. The 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds couldn't wait to get a car. Nowadays, because of this propaganda that we know is coming, because of all the rise in living costs, young people today, even 18, 20 years old, aren't even thinking about getting a license. They use Uber or they use a scooter because they know even if they get a license, they won't be able to afford a lease payment, insurance payments, that's home ownership is another pipe dream for the vast majority. And for everybody else, that was like a staple of the so-called American dream that extended to Canada. Now, car ownership and home ownership is something that the young people think of as a relic of the past. And you know what that is? That's from sheer mismanagement by the government. But it's not accidental mismanagement. They want the right thing. And when I feel like I'm doing the right thing, I don't fear. And if I do fear, I rise above it. And I want to teach everybody around me to do the same thing in their personal lives and beyond. And I believe that when I get in the government, I will inspire those within the government to start standing up. Because they don't do it now because they feel they would be ostracized. Why do you think all those councillors voted to extend the lockdowns? Do you think it's because they wanted to? Or do you think it's because they felt so politically pressured that they had no choice, just like all the people that took the jab? Well, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to make it cool for them and actually encourage for them to do the right thing. So all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing these politicians act morally. They might not even be doing it for the right reasons, but at least they're going to be doing it. That's the difference. And that's what we're going to set the tone for. And then we can reverse the process that's been happening to Toronto for decades. And we can make this the city it was always meant to be, the city they pretend it is, the best city in the world. Guys, I'm going to go inside and see if they're going to let us do this.
There he is.
There you are, little creature. Where's our little clipboard? Okay.
There they go. The power couple of Toronto. The future power couple. Absolutely. That's right. Hey, I'm live on the YouTube. Does anyone want to chat?
I'm also in media.
Oh, awesome. Cool. What's your name?
Aaron Cates, Canadian Patriot. They know me in the States, and also Inspector Cates. I'm with Real Deal Media, and I'm also a very good friend of Chris's for the last couple of years. We worked out together.
You guys met at the gym?
No, we kind of met online actually. We met online actually.
There he goes. There he goes.
You got it?
He's going in to City Hall. We're at Nathan Phillips Square. Look at all these supporters we got.
Next mayor.
Other candidates don't have the support. There he goes. There he goes, folks. There he goes. Amazing. Sorry, we lost battery power there for a second. Sorry about that, folks. Bad timing, I know. Let's see. Are we talking? Oh, crap. Hey, you want to chat, man? Amazing. Let's get.
Diagolon. You gotta say hi to everybody on Diagolon.
Yeah, sure.
Diagolon fans, what's up? What's up, Jeremy? We're here to support Chris. Let's go. He's the next mayor.
Awesome.
Mayor for change.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, come over here, man. What's your name?
My name is Abiel Asha.
And how long you followed Chris Sky for? When's your first hear about him?
From the very beginning. I've been following him like just as the lockdowns were starting. I started hearing about him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was the guy. He was the guy who was being vocal about this stuff. He was the guy calling it out. And now he's the guy running for Toronto mayor. Why do you think he's going to make a good mayor?
Well, I mean, he's listening to the people. He's listening to his heart. And he's following the path of truth. You know, most of these people, as he's said so eloquently so many times, they're following a paycheck. They're listening to the World Economic Forum. They're agents for the World Economic Forum. And they're not listening to the people. As much as we've been told that this is a democracy, we're not living in a democracy. This is an autocratic organization that are people who are making decisions for us, never even asking us what our thoughts were about it.
Yeah. No, very well said. And it's great that more and more people are seeing this. Did you see that over the course of the pandemic? Is that when you kind of woke up to see like, whoa, this democracy is not so airtight, is it?
No, I've been way far longer than that. My parents are from the Caribbean. I'm from Jamaica. Corruption is something that we've been experiencing for hundreds of years now. I'm originally from Africa, so we know all about corruption, and so I've been awake to this. So immediately when I started to see the movements happening, and we're talking about January and February of 2020, I was like, uh-oh, they're doing it, and they're doing it. They're going hard. And then
So you recognize it right away. Yeah, you're like, this is government corruption 100%.
Yeah. I mean, even everything with the pandemic, it wasn't the first time that they tried to sort of do the things, make the moves that they were doing back in 2010, even before that with swine flu, I think it was. They were basically doing all the same moves in different parts of the world. They were doing it in Canada, they were doing it in China, they were doing it in other parts of the world, just to, I guess, gauge the effectiveness of their ploys, of their methodology, their tactics.
Yeah.
And when
they must have collected a lot of data over the past 3 years. It's crazy to think about how much data they have. Oh, when we put this headline, this is how Canadians respond. This is how Toronto responded, right?
This is how Jamaicans respond, Trinidadians respond, people from Germany. This is how they respond in different parts. It's they've been at this for a very, very long time, and sort of fine-tuning exactly how it's going to happen, how it's going to roll out. And then we know about event 201,
201,
I think. 201, yep, 201.
Where they're like, let's say there's a coronavirus pandemic. What would happen then? Yeah, and it happened like months before the actual pandemic, which was paid for by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's like, seriously? It's right in front of us, guys.
Yeah, it's absolutely right in front of us. They've been planning it for a very long time. Even more so, if you go back to 2010, there was a document put out by the Rockefeller Association. You can go to their website. It's right there. They talked about exactly how they were going to roll this out. They have all the right people on the team. Fauci's wife is a psychologist, and she was penning all of the literature as to how to get people to go along with the mandates, how to get people to comply to the vaccines, what sort of rhetoric to use, what language to use to pressure children and students and teachers. It's all right there. You can go online and you can see it.
Absolutely. And, when it comes to winning this election, because we really want to because the real battle starts once Chris gets in.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's going to be fighting all sorts of bureaucratic demons left, right, and center. How do we engage Torontonians? Because I know that there's a lot of apathy in Canada, but especially probably Toronto. What comes to mind? Any fresh ideas? How can we get them excited? Because let's face it, you'll talk to them about Rockefeller or even like Event 201. They're like, "What are you talking about, bro? Like the Raptors are on."
Yeah.
Right. So how do we engage these people?
Well, I think that one of the things that I've always learned is effective is you got to hit people in the wallets. So business is so important for everybody to be successful. People need jobs, they need access to resources, they need access to opportunities. So Toronto, I like what Chris has to say earlier today. I know you're going to be hopefully sharing that clip with them, but Toronto has the capacity to be the best, one of the best, if not the best city in the world, because there's so much talent, there's so much skills, there's so much hardcore skills for industry right here in Toronto. People need the opportunity. If we can get back into the things that made Canada great in the first place, various industries, construction, engineering, all of the tech companies, people don't understand that, say for example, when we talk about quantum computing, it was Canada's the leader in quantum computing. The company that developed D-Wave is out of Canada, right out of Waterloo Waterloo University, and they're based out in Vancouver. But they're some of the best AI programmers and quantum computer programmers right here in Toronto. We need to, give them opportunities, and we can't give these people opportunities if every day our government is saying, okay, we're going to shut down today, or, because the sky is falling, and people go for it. We don't need that type of government. We need government that's concerned, really, truly concerned about people.
Yeah, and this is kind of maybe a broader topic in general, but, there's people who are talented here, who are starting businesses here, and they're looking at all the crazy taxes, and they're like, why would I stay here?
Yes.
Why would I stay here in Canada? So we have these people, these budding entrepreneurs and talented people who are doing the math, or it doesn't even make sense for me to stay here. Mm-hmm. And some of our best and brightest are leaving. Like one of the things they've called it brain drain. Yep. Toronto's experiencing this brain drain, which is not good. It's creepy to think, but it really sometimes feels like what they want is just an oligarchy country where it's just Loblaws, Rogers, Bell, whatever else. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it sounds like a creepy worst case scenario, but of course, when people are just lining their pockets, it's who is going to stop this? Who is going to stop this?
Everything that Aldous Huxley talked about is happening. It's rolling out. I truly believe that Aldous Huxley was asked to basically sort of put together a blueprint for how you would run a totalitarian society that was high tech, or technocratic totalitarian.
Which books are his again?
Brave New World. Okay. Brave New World. It's it's the blueprint that they're following almost to the T. Everything with all of the things.
So every time you see one of these weed shops, you're like, oh, it's a Soma shop.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And even the way that we're addicted to social media and to porn, all of these things are intentional. So that we're not engaged with our communities, we're not engaged with each other. It's all part of the plan. And people need to recognize what's happening, and then they have to take action. You mentioned the apathy, and apathy is rampant. It's par for the course with this type of organization, because you have to demoralize the people so they don't even think that it's possible to change the direction of, if you can't change the direction of your own life, how in the world are you going to change the direction of the whole country or the city or what have you, right? So what we have to do is the work that I do is I deal in meditation. So I help people deal with connecting with themselves so they can change the trajectory of their life, right?
And to help them, especially when you're in the city, help them just slow down.
Yes.
Right? Help them slow down.
Well, slowing down and really focusing on what you're doing in the moment is how you make changes to your life. If you're thinking there's something wrong with your car, you got to slow down. You got to take the car, possibly hoist it up, remove the wheels, get under the hood in order to fix it. This is a slow process. This doesn't happen quickly, right? If there's something wrong with your house, there's a leak or what have you, you have to do something, slow down in order to fix it. If there's something wrong with your community, the same thing. You have to meet your neighbors, get to know your neighbors, hang out, slow down to really figure out and focus and kind of get rid of all of the distractions. You do the same when you're studying. You do the same thing when you're trying to make something happen in your life. But if you're just go with all of these distractions that are really just taking away from your energy, bleeding that life force that you need for transformation, it's not going to happen. So this is what we have to do. We have to teach people to initially first come into the present moment, realize that all of these other things that we're worried about, they're not actually happening. It's just in our imagination. And then we can start focusing on solving the problems in our communities, solving the problems in our households and ourselves, and solving eventually reverberate outwards to affect the entire world.
Yeah, we got to first become conscious of the problem. You brought up something else really good that I wanted to talk about, but I lost it for now. The media is not talking about this guy, Chris Guy, running for mayor. What are your thoughts on the media? Why do you think they're completely ignoring the guy with the largest Twitter following of any other candidate?
Well, I mean, it's very obvious. The media are the paid watchdogs for the globalists, for the government, and so forth. So they're doing their bidding, right? This is exactly what they're doing. And they've been told to be silent on this issue, as they've been silent on the death of babies in hospital, the stillbirths, people falling down suddenly, and from myocarditis and pericarditis and so forth. They've been told to be silent on all of these things, and so they're just doing what their job is. But what we need to take advantage of is of the power of social media, power of the internet, because we've seen people who are banned on every platform who are still, every time they post a video, 20 million views, 30 million views. How are they finding out? Because the message has to get out, right? It's out there. There's so many different ways that we can speak and get to the people. And then we have to use some of the traditional methods. I love street teams. I love like Druthers Magazine. I love we have to use our Druthers News rather. We have to use traditional methods as well. Postering. I've been doing a lot of postering in my neighborhood, just dropping things in people's mailbox so that people become aware that there's other places where they can get information. And many people, because we have to fight the apathy, right? The apathy is soul crushing, and everyone can feel it, but when people start to realize that they can actually do something.
And it's also fighting the propaganda machine. Like, we need to use if you got a photocopier, anything we can to get the word out. Did you want to plug your meditation services right now?
Yeah, if you're interested in learning about meditation and stress management and learning how to sort of quiet the brain,
stop scrolling through Twitter maybe for a few minutes.
Yeah, come and check me out at innercontemplations.com. That's my website. I have services there, and I also just recently launched a channel called The Contemporary Monk, where I have conversations about things like this, current affairs through the lens of a meditation monk, because freedom. The world needs real freedom, but the only thing is that freedom is not free. It costs, and we have to be ready to pay that cost so that we can have a better future for our children, if such a thing is important to people. And so I kind of come at it through the lens of like the way the ancients looked at these things, and I approach everything. And I love the work that you've been doing, brother. Yeah, man, I love the work. I've watched everything that you come out with. It's right on point. It's so beautiful.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Please.
I just remembered what I was going to ask about. You're talking about demoralization and apathy, and you're so right, because during the pandemic, and I've talked about this before, but it's almost like we've coached the public to accept incompetence, accept lies and corruption. It's like, oh yeah, well, Trudeau wore blackface, sure. Oh yeah, sure. He's had like ethics violation after ethics violation, sure. And it's like, I can't believe they've been so effective in Canada of just encouraging the apathy, or just like so many people are just like, well, they're all corrupt, I guess. It's sad. Is this something that's happened in the Caribbean as well to an extent? What are the parallels? Can you share some? knowledge?
Yeah, sure. So I come from Jamaica particularly, and growing up in Jamaica, we saw the exact same thing. People have a deep sense of powerlessness. They really feel that they can't do anything about what's happening in the world around them. And I mean, everything in your life starts here and goes out that way, right? So you start from your immediate life, and if you don't have control of your immediate life, your immediate sort of your emotions and how you react to them, when you set out a set of things that you want to accomplish for the day, like you got to do your wash, you got to clean up the house, you got to finish maybe a letter that you meant to send out or whatever. And if you are incapable of solving those or resolving those issues alone, then how can we get to the bigger things, right? The things that we would almost relegate to what Superman and Batman would deal with, right? I think that's what Jordan Peterson was talking about when he says, before you can go out into the world and start shouting about what's going on in the world, make your bed first, like clean your sheets, brush your teeth, make sure that you deal with those things before you start going. And he completely had it right. That's where it starts, because everything is built on the foundation. But the truth of the matter is that the attack started when you were in school. It starts in the church. All of these institutions tell you that you ain't shit, that you can't do anything, that you're not capable. There's other forces greater than you that you must wait for to take action in your own salvation. And that's actually a bastardization and is untrue to what the initial teachings are telling you. The initial teachings are telling you that the forces of the universe that make you go are inside you. And it's what's making my mouth move right now. It's what's making my consciousness flow to even have this conversation. And you actually have control over them. So if the very same forces that are making the sun work and the wind blow are actually at play within you, then there's actually no limit to what you can do, right? If you put your mind to it, and most importantly as a human, if you collaborate with your brother and your sister, then you can do anything. But somehow this message has been lost in our institutions, and it starts with the church, it starts with the schools, where you go to this place and somebody kind of barks at you what reality is, and then you must obey this and then repeat it, right? And you can't. And if you say something, you get if you say something that disagrees with what they're trying to tell you, they put you in the corner, they put on a dunce hats, they shame you, and they make you to feel. And that's where the demoralization and the apathy starts, because then people just are like, well, what I'm gonna do? What can I do about this, right? So they start very, very early, and I think this is a universal problem globally. And it's one of the reasons why the ancients never sent their children to other people to educate them. They always did it within the house. They always did it within the community, right? You would go to your uncle or your mother or your aunt to learn your trade, right? But once we allowed the state to be the arbiter of truth and the ones to teach our children, that's when the battle really was lost.
It's pretty interesting that with COVID, I feel that, people started to question things, a few things, and then, lockdown continued, and they questioned even more and more and more, and it's like, man, should I be drinking tap water? That actually happened for me. I'm like, I don't know if I should be drinking tap water anymore, because slowly poisoning people, it sounds like.
And you shouldn't be drinking tap water, because the fluoride that they put in the tap water comes from processing uranium, and it's toxic, and it also blocks the pineal gland. It's like, this is all information that's out there, but people don't come into contact with it because mostly they don't read, and reading is like a curse word. I've been shouted down. I've been shouted down so many times when I tell people, yo, you got to read, man. You got to read more. You should be reading at least.
Look at this nerd. What's he talking about reading?
Exactly, absolutely. So
I got TikTok, bro. I don't need to read.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we need to realize that when you're reading, what you're doing is you're actually sort of sitting down and conversing with somebody who's spent a tremendous amount of time focusing their train of thought on one topic, right? And it's no different than what you're doing when you go to university or go to college and you learn from somebody and you're sitting there and you're listening to them. Except the problem is that what if the person is no longer with us in this realm? What if they have passed on? You can still have a conversation with them, read their books, right? And now all of a sudden you have the capacity to come into contact with somebody that you might not be able to because they live on the other side of the world, or even better if it's been translated from another language. So now you can speak to Nietzsche, or you can speak to some philosopher, or even some person, a revolutionary thinker about a concept or an idea and this now can expand your mind more than you would be able to do so on your own, right? Because you only have your one life, but now you can sort of vicariously live the life of others, right? By reading and so forth. And
that's a really good pitch for reading. That's like one of the best ones I've heard recently. And I think another element to it is the attention. Having the focus and the attention. Like, reading is a very active thing because you need to like read it off the page. And I feel like, especially with these smartphones, especially with like the deteriorating attention span of people, like even for myself, I'm focused on talking to you, but I'm also focused on my live stream. So I'm kind of focusing on two different things at once. But these days, for people to actually sit down, put their phone away, and read, I feel like is a challenge, especially for younger generations. But yeah,
you're right. But focus is what you need to shift your life, right? Focus is what you see a beautiful woman across the room and you want to go and speak to her, right? It's assuming you recognize that she is a woman and you know what woman is. But you see a beautiful woman across the room. Now you have to focus. If you're like scatterbrained and you're not, you got to focus and you got to go and you have to have a conversation with her, especially if you're interested to meet this new person and bring her into your life or him into your life, right? However the situation might be. But you have to focus. It's the way that you shift your life. You go to the gym and you're working out, you have to focus, right? And because the mind is in many ways it acts like a muscle. The different ways that you engage the mind is going to basically expand its capacity to do different things, which is going to have benefit for you in your life in every facet of it. Because now you come into contact with a new problem that lies outside of the sphere of your understanding prior to coming into contact with this, and it might be difficult, but now because you've been practicing your mind on so many different areas, then it becomes easy for you to acquire new knowledge, acquire new skills, and go into different areas of the world and help other people, because it all basically is derived from helping other people. The more people you can help, the more people you can now get as a part of helping your own life change.
Yeah. And to bring it full circle, I think what we need to focus on as whoever we are, freedom fighters, people who want to fight against this agenda, we need to focus on electing Chris Sky. Because sometimes people are like, oh, well, Chris Sky this or Chris Sky that, or what about this or what about that? It's like, no, focus, guys, focus. Let's just focus on our collective willpower on doing whatever we can to, whether it's talking to someone at the bus stop, talking to somebody we know, sharing a post. But just because I really feel when it comes to people who oppose this globalist agenda, it's like we're scattered.
Yes,
it's like where's the strategy? Where's the plan?
Absolutely.
And like part of it, part of the situation is people are demoralized still, and we need to be like, guys, time to shut up and focus on electing Chris Sky. Focus on this candidate. Let's all get behind him. And I just kind of wanted to go off on that. But
it's exactly the issue here is like, remember, it's actually not even about Chris Sky. It's about you. Right? It's about each one of us. And I like the analogy, I like the concept that Chris Sky was talking about when he was saying, think of me as some sort of tool. I would say, think of Chris Sky as like an avatar in a game that you're playing, and you're controlling the avatar in this realm, and you're getting this avatar to do the things that you want them to do because there's something that you'd like to see happen. Not all of us have the charisma or the capacity to get up in front of 1,000 people and speak to them. This is a skill that Chris Sky possesses. So now what we want to do is we want to send him into the world as a representative of us to to make something happen in our world. And I like the fact that he's focusing on Toronto. Toronto is a global city. Everybody in the world knows Toronto. And if we can change things here in Toronto, it very well can again reverberate outwards to affect all of Canada, because people will say, hey, look what's happening in Toronto. Look how they've turned around their economy. Look how they've made opportunities for the youth in business, in entrepreneurship, in enterprise. Look how they are healthier mentally and emotionally. And you're going to see people will say, hey, we want that to happen here. So yeah, we have to focus our attention on the brother, because he's here to do what it is that we want. He's one of our agents, as opposed to the World Economic Forum, who has all of their agents, right? Yeah. And there's another point that you made, and it's about one of the things that I've been saying since high school, years ago, too long ago. I've been saying, it doesn't matter what your perspective is or what you think about the world, or what you believe in. All that matters is your level of organization, because if you're disorganized, it's not going to come into fruition anyways. And this is a major problem. We are disorganized, right? That we know that people know about what's going on. It's really the silent masses, right? The silent majority knows what's going on in the world. And because we're silent and because we're not organized, that's the reason why things aren't happening the way we want it to. Because we know that those who believe in all of the vile things that are happening on our planet, they represent the vast minority. They are the fringe minority that Trudeau is talking about, right? Sure. It's not us. It's not us. Most people don't want war. Nobody wants to kill their brothers and sisters on the other side of the planet or anywhere. No. Nobody wants to see people suffering. It doesn't matter what color of the skin the child is, whether it's black or white or yellow. It doesn't matter. People care about all children, and they want them to experience all the things that every child should experience, which is the vaingloriousness of living on our planet, right? Nobody wants to see any of those people suffer, right? So then why is this suffering happening? Because there is a small, tiny minority of people. We call them the global deletes, as my friend would say. Right? They want to see, yeah, when he said it to me, I said, it's perfect. The global deletes, they have this idea, and they represent a fraction of a percent of the population, and they want to see these hideous things that we see happening around the world. The wars, the suffering, the murders, they're the ones that desire to see these things, and those people can't do it without our help. So they
or our complicity
or complicity. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't it's our actual genius that goes into the bringing to life the machinations of their desires, right? Yeah. So what we have to do is we have to realize that we need to become organized around a different focus, and where that starts is it starts with these conversations. Where it starts with a brother like Brother Chris and what he's trying to do.
Absolutely. Plug your meditation services again, sir.
Oh yes, innercontemplations.com. Innercontemplations.com.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, sir.
It has been a pleasure speaking to you, and like I said, let me fanboy again. I never dreamed I would get a chance to be hugging you.
Right. We're going to see each other a lot more.
Yeah,
during the Chris Guy campaign.
Yeah.
All right.
Where to next, man? Where are you going?
I just got to go back to my car, and I'm going to wrap up this live right now.
Okay.
So, guys, thank you so much for watching. That was it. I'm sorry that the battery cut out when I was chatting with Chris Guy, but we got to listen to some of his supporters. And a lot of very smart people, a lot of people who get it, and a lot of people who want to not just change this city, but change this country. And I think starting in Toronto is a great place to start. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sorry I couldn't read the chat. I'm sorry I didn't have a better cameraman to be reading the chat and engaging with you guys. But thanks for watching nonetheless. If you want to support my work, I do the filming and the editing myself. Just go to gregwycliffe.com, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thanks for any of the super chatters that sent them in. And love you guys. We're going to talk to you soon. Chris Guy for mayor, baby. Chris Guy for mayor. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.